Welcome to the deep dive. We take complex information, stacks of it really, and distill it down into hopefully some illuminating insights for you. Today we're plunging into a really ancient text from the Buddhist tradition. It's called the Lakkhaṇasuttaṃ, which basically translates as the discourse on the marks. And our mission, our deep dive today, is exploring this concept called the 32 marks of a great man. Now you might immediately think, okay, physical attributes. What does that have to do with actual greatness? And that's exactly what we want to unpack. What do these, sometimes quite esoteric sounding physical traits actually symbolize? What are the deep actions, the causes that supposedly lead to them? And maybe most intriguingly, what destiny do they predict? Think of it as a kind of shortcut to understanding an ancient perspective on cause and effect, on leadership, and even personal development.
It really is a fascinating concept, this idea of linking visible physical traits to very profound internal cultivation. It's quite unique. And this text, it lays out two potential paths for someone who has these marks. Either they become what's called a wheel-turning monarch, sort of a righteous, world-conquering king, you could say, or if they choose a different path, renounce the worldly life, they become a fully enlightened Buddha. What's really remarkable, I think, is that both these huge destinies, they supposedly stem from the same basic good actions, the same ethical foundation.
Okay, so let's get into it. Where should we start? Maybe with the foundation. Literally, the feet. The text mentions well-planted feet, and this is the really striking one, wheels on the soles of their feet. What kind of image is that? What's the deeper layer here?
All right, that's a great place to start. And it's key to remember, these are primarily symbolic, so well-planted feet. It's not really about podiatry. It's linked, the text says, to a history of firmly establishing oneself in wholesome states. So good conduct, body, speech, mind, sharing gifts, virtue, respect for parents, spiritual elders, just being solid ethically.
Okay, so a foundation of good character, basically.
Exactly. And the wheels on the soles, that's even more symbolic. It comes from past actions of bringing happiness, helping people, dispelling fear, providing real protection and safety for others.
Wow. So physical stability as a symbol for providing stability and safety to others. That's powerful. So how do these specific marks then translate into the predicted destiny? You mentioned the two paths, king or Buddha. How does this well-planted nature show up?
Yeah, this is where you see the pattern. The outcome reflects the root cause, but adapts to the path chosen. So for a king, these marks mean they're unconquerable, unshakable by any human enemy. And they have a huge, loyal following, ministers, citizens, everyone.
Right. Stability means power and loyalty in that context.
Right. Exactly. But for a Buddha, the same marks mean being unshakable by internal enemies, lust, hatred, delusion, or by any external being, really. And like the king, having a great following, but as spiritual seekers.
I see. So the type of invincibility changes, the type of following changes, but the core strength, the influence remains immense.
Precisely. That pattern repeats throughout all the marks. The underlying quality manifests differently, but powerfully on either path.
Okay, let's move up. Some marks are about specific body forms, things like long heels, long fingers and toes, and an erect body like Brahma. That sounds quite divine.
It does. Brahma, in that tradition, represents a kind of ideal, powerful form. And these marks, the long digits, the erect posture, they're directly linked to a very specific past action. Specifically, abandoning the taking of life, laying down weapons, cultivating deep compassion for all living beings, non-harming, essentially.
So nonviolence leads to a kind of physical integrity and longevity.
Exactly. The outcome for both the potential king and the Buddha is a long, enduring life. They're immune to premature death. It shows the protective power of non-harming. What you give out, you receive.
That's a very direct link. What about some others? 7 convexities, swellings on hands, feet, shoulders, neck. That sounds a bit strange to a modern ear.
It does sound a bit unusual. These convexities or swellings are said to stem from generosity, but specifically giving really excellent food and drink. Delicious things, high-quality provisions.
So generosity again, but a specific kind.
Yes, and the direct result. Such a person, whether king or Buddha, will always receive abundant and fine provisions themselves. Again, the cause mirrors the effect.
And golden-colored skin, or fine skin that dust doesn't stick to. It sounds almost like a description of radiance.
It does. Golden skin is linked to two things: cultivating an absence of anger and irritation, so inner calm, and also giving fine, soft things to others, like nice clothes or blankets.
Kindness and giving comfort.
Right. And the fine skin where dust doesn't stick. This one's really interesting. It comes from actively seeking wisdom, approaching wise people, asking questions: what's good, what's bad, what leads to long-term happiness.
Wow. So your skin reflects your pursuit of knowledge. That's unexpected.
It is, isn't it? It suggests that the refinement of mind, seeking clarity, somehow manifests as a kind of physical refinement or purity.
This is incredible. It's suggesting that our actions, our generosity, our temper, even our intellectual curiosity can literally sculpt our being.
That's the core message, I think. What we cultivate internally doesn't just stay inside. It shapes our presence, our influence, our very form, symbolically speaking.
Okay, let's shift focus slightly. How do our actions influence our connections with others? Some marks seem directly related to that, like soft, tender hands and feet, and webbed hands and feet, like a duck.
Yes, exactly like a duck or goose. The soft and webbed hands and feet are said to come from practicing what are called the 4 bases of sympathy, basically the foundations of good community relations. These are generosity, pleasant speech, beneficial conduct, acting for others' good and impartiality, treating everyone fairly. They're the actions of a natural unifier.
Makes sense. Soft hands, perhaps, symbolizing a gentle touch in relationships, and webbed, maybe holding things together.
That's a good way to think about it. And then there's the mark you mentioned, the genitals retracted into a sheath, like a horse. Quite specific.
It's very specific. What's the action behind that one?
This comes from actively reuniting people, bringing together friends, family, relatives who've been separated or estranged, promoting harmony and reconciliation, mending bonds.
Ah, so literally creating unity and connection.
Precisely. And the outcome for both the king and the Buddha. A very loyal, well-gathered following. Many devoted followers are even described as spiritual sons for the Buddha, who were strong and capable. It's about drawing people close through inherent goodness and fostering that unity.
The leadership implications are really clear there.
Absolutely. Worldly or spiritual, it's about the power to connect and unify.
What about how we perceive the world and how we're perceived? Our gaze, our voice. The text mentions very dark blue eyes, eyelashes like a cow, which I assume means long and attractive.
Yes, that's the implication.
A large tongue, a voice like Brahma, sweet like a mythological bird, a lion jaw, 40 close-set teeth. These seem very related to presence and communication.
They are, very much so. The eyes, the dark blue eyes and cow-like eyelashes, they result from how one looks at others. With kindness, straightforwardness, a loving gaze, not looking away, not being shifty.
So a direct, kind gaze leads to being seen as pleasant.
Exactly. Pleasant to behold, dear to others, pleasing to many. And the communication aspects, the powerful voice, the strong jaw, the perfect teeth, they come from wholesome speech. Speaking gently, truthfully, meaningfully at the right time. And very importantly, avoiding harsh speech, divisive speech, gossip, anything that breaks people apart.
So our way of looking at people and speaking to them literally shapes our face, our voice, according to this text.
Symbolically, yes. It shapes the impact we have. And the result is that such a person, king or Buddha, their words are heeded. People listen, they accept, they build an unbreakable, harmonious assembly around them. Their very presence and way of speaking is incredibly influential.
It really emphasizes the creative power of kind perception and truthful, beneficial speech.
It absolutely does.
Okay, nearly there. Let's look at the final set of marks. Things like high arches on the feet again, hair growing upwards from each pore, quite distinct, or head shapes like a turban, which refers to a kind of protuberance on the crown. What actions lead to these?
These are strongly linked to teaching and leadership by example. The high arches and the upward growing hair come from diligently guiding and teaching others, helping people understand, practice, overcome suffering, being an effective guide.
So uplifting others leads to uplifted hair and arches.
Symbolically, yes. And the turban-like head, that protuberance, it comes from being a leader in wholesome conduct, an exemplar. Someone people look up to for virtuous actions, leading from the front, ethically speaking.
And what about even teeth or very white fangs? Fangs sounds a bit fierce.
It probably just means prominent, healthy canine teeth. Both the evenness and the lightness are linked to right livelihood, abandoning wrong ways of making a living. Specifically, not cheating, like using false weights or measures and avoiding violence, bribery, plunder, deceit in one's work. Basically, ethical conduct in your profession or trade.
Deep integrity in how you operate in the world.
Exactly.
So for these final marks related to teaching, ethical leadership, right livelihood, what's the ultimate outcome?
For both the king and the Buddha, it means becoming foremost, supreme, excellent among their group. They attract many devoted followers who naturally gravitate towards them. And particularly for right livelihood, the result is attracting a pure, ethical following. Like attracts like. Their own integrity draws in people of similar integrity. It signifies a perfected leader.
Okay. We've gone through quite a list of these fascinating symbolic marks. We've seen their roots in specific ethical actions, generosity, non-harming, truthfulness, seeking wisdom, creating harmony, right livelihood. But let's connect the dots. What does this ancient text, with all its symbolism, really offer us today, sitting here listening? What's the takeaway beyond just an interesting list?
Well, I think its real power lies in illustrating the principle of karma so vividly.
Mm.
The idea that our choices, especially our ethical and compassionate ones, have real, tangible consequences. They don't just affect our circumstances out there. They shape our very being, our presence, our influence. It's a dramatic way of showing that what we cultivate inside truly does manifest outside.
So it's not really about literally wanting, webbed feet or a lion jaw.
Not at all. That would miss the point entirely.
It's about recognizing that causal link, that inner quality translates to outer impact.
Precisely. The physical marks are a symbolic language. They're metaphors to convey that things like generosity, compassion, truthfulness, harmonious speech, seeking wisdom, ethical leadership. These are the true marks of a great person. These inner qualities, the text argues, lead to an undeniable positive presence and impact, whether you're aiming for worldly success or spiritual liberation. It encourages us to look past the superficial, to understand the deep ethical roots of genuine power, lasting well-being, real influence.
It really challenges you to think, doesn't it? If my inner character, my consistent actions, were to somehow manifest outwardly, what would I look like? What kind of influence would I embody?
That's a powerful reflection. This deep dive, I think, really highlights how this ancient wisdom connects our deepest ethical choices to the highest forms of leadership and attainment. It's quite profound.
It definitely leaves us with a provocative thought, maybe something for you to consider. If the greatest forms of power and influence, according to this tradition, arise directly from qualities like deep ethical conduct, compassion, wisdom, what does that suggest about the qualities we should prioritize in our own lives, whatever path we're on?
And maybe, just maybe, how might focusing on cultivating those inner marks rather than just chasing external achievements begin to reshape not only ourselves but the world around us, one conscious action at a time?